everyone, and welcome to this week's Searchers video. Nice to see you again. This week we're going to look at our memory verse again from Isaiah. I wonder if anyone can remember it from last week. And then we're going to look at the second description of what the special baby that was born at Christmas time will be like. So first of all, we'll start off with the memory verse. Here it is. Who can remember it? Let's say it all together, shall we? For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. Should we say that one more time so we're used to it? For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. So I thought I'd make it a bit harder for you, and I'm going to take some words away and see if you can say it with me this time with some words missing. So here it is with some words missing. Do you think you can do this? I think so, it's quite easy. Let's say it all together, shall we? For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. Could you do that? We'll try it again next week with maybe some more words missing, so keep practicing. Last week we looked at how Jesus is the wonderful counselor, as described by Isaiah in this verse that he wrote. And today we're going to look at the second description of what this special child who's going to be born, Jesus, of what he is going to be like. And the second description that Isaiah writes in this memory verse is Mighty God. Jesus is going to be Mighty God. What does mighty mean? Now, someone who's mighty is very strong and powerful. In fact, God is described in the Bible as being almighty. He is the most strong and powerful. He is all strong and all powerful. He's nothing like any human being. Do you know the song that says, "My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing that he cannot do"? I'm sure you know that song. Well, God is almighty. There's nothing that he can't do. So when Isaiah describes this special child that's going to be born, Jesus, as the mighty God, he's saying that Jesus is powerful and he is God. So we're going to look at two true stories from Jesus' life that show that Jesus is mighty God. Jesus saw a large crowd around him, so he got into a boat with his disciples to go to the other side of the lake. Suddenly a furious storm came on the lake, and the waves were sweeping over the boat. Jesus was asleep. The disciples were afraid, even though they were good sailors, and they woke Jesus up saying, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown." Jesus woke up and said to them, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up and said to the wind and the waves, "Quiet, be still." And it was immediately completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, "What kind of man is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Wow, this story shows us that Jesus, the baby born in Bethlehem, was mighty God. He had the mighty power over the terrible storm, and at just a few words from him, the storm was completely calm. Only God could do that. The second true story is about a 12-year-old girl who was really sick. In fact, she was dying. Her dad, Jairus, was a religious leader in a town called Capernaum. And when Jesus arrived in Capernaum, Jairus came and fell at Jesus' feet and pleaded with him to come and heal his daughter. As Jesus was on his way, there was another lady who wanted to be healed, and then the sad news came from Jairus' house that his daughter had died. Jesus said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just believe." Jesus went to Jairus' house. People were wailing and crying outside. "Stop wailing," said Jesus. "She is not dead, but asleep." They laughed at him because they knew the girl had died. Inside the house, Jesus took the girl by the hand and said, "Little girl, get up." Immediately, the girl stood up and was able to walk around. The parents were astonished, and Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Wow! This true story from Jesus' life shows us that he is indeed mighty God. He had power over even death. With just a few words from him, the girl was raised from the dead. Only God can do that. So Isaiah wrote many years before Jesus was born that this child to be born, the son to be given, would be called Mighty God. As we remember Jesus being born this Christmas time, we can remember that the special baby Jesus is the mighty God. He grew up and showed he had mighty power to do things that only God can do. He was mighty over the storm, and he was mighty over death. Jesus' disciples asked, "Who is this man?" The Bible shows us that Jesus is mighty God, and he calls us to follow him and to trust him. We should believe that Jesus is mighty God. It's time for the quiz! Let's see how well you've been listening by answering the following questions. Here they are. Number 1, who is our memory verse describing? Who is our memory verse describing? Question number 2, what is the first description of Jesus in our memory verse? This one was from last week. He will be called, what was the first description? Number 3, what is the second description of Jesus in our memory verse? That's what we were looking at this week. What's the second description of Jesus? Number 4, in the first story today, what did Jesus show he has power over? And number 5, in the second story, what did Jesus show he has power over? And question 6, what should we do? How did you get on answering those questions? Let's have a look. We'll go through some of the answers. Number 1, who is our memory verse describing? It's describing Jesus. Number 2, what's the first description of Jesus in our memory verse? He will be called, the first one was Wonderful Counselor. Well done if you remembered that from last week. Question 3, what is the second description of Jesus? That's the one we looked at today. Jesus is Mighty God. He will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. Okay, number 4, in the first story today, what did Jesus show that he has power over? The answer was the storm. Jesus had power over the storm, or you might have said the wind or the waves. That's all right. Number 5, in the second story, what did Jesus show he has power over? Jesus showed he had power over death because he raised that little girl back to life again. Jesus has power over death. So question number 6, what should we do? Well, we should believe that Jesus is the mighty God, and we should follow and trust him. So that's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and I hope you join us again next week at 6 p.m. on Friday. It'll be on YouTube to join us with our third description of Jesus. So we've learnt that Jesus is the Wonderful Counselor, he's the mighty God, and next week we're going to be looking at Everlasting Father. So have a good week. I'll see you next week. Bye.